Hello, everyone. I think we're live. I'm going to do a video for you today. I am Crazything, the airbrush guy. Uh, we'll do a quick video. I hope little how-to video, kind of how I get ready. Um, this how-to is not rules or anything. This is how I do it. This is how things work for me. Um, find your own way to figure out what works for you. I'll just give you some guidelines, like I said, about how I do it. I'm going to be doing a helmet today. You'll have to forgive the noises and the trains and things around here. There's nothing I can do about that for the sound quality. But okay, to start off, a lot of preparation has to do with what you're working on. Since I'm working on a plastic sports helmet today, I take these pads here that are equivalent to about a 600 grit sandpaper, and I rough them up. I don't know how well it'll show on camera, but I've done half of it. I've done this half. If you can see this half, it's a used helmet, but this half is kind of still shiny, and this half is dull. Okay, so that's what you want. You want a good dull consistency. You're going to knock the shine down, and what you're actually doing is etching it with millions and millions of little micro scratches. Then that gives the paint something to adhere to, and the clear coat something to adhere to. Because I don't spot clear coat, so like even if they just wanted a number right here, I'm going to clear coat the whole helmet. I'm going to seal it up good. But I wanted to show you guys kind of what it looks like. Like I said, this is half of it. You can see where I have scuffed it and where I have not. What's going on, Jack Black? Good to see some people coming in here. How's it going, Deborah? So that's what I'm going to do to prep this, is I'll end up scuffing the whole thing out. And then when you're done, you want to kind of wipe it down, get the dust off of it. You'll want to use some sort of prep cleaner, okay? It doesn't have to be this brand. There's thousands of them out there, and they're all good stuff. They're like a degreaser, basically. You're going to take any oil, grease, handprints, everything, and that will eliminate it and take it off. You don't need much. This is plastic. You don't want to compromise the plastic with putting too many harsh chemicals on there or anything. But that's how I get my substrate ready. If it was a shirt, there's not really a lot of prep that I do to shirts, other than maybe iron them, get the wrinkles out. Yeah, Jack, I don't know if you heard my latest video on TikTok about what happened, but if you get a chance, check that out. I'm not going to go into it on here. So next, I will get my airbrush guns ready. I typically run 3 guns a day. I will run a white. I will mix up a white. I will mix up a black gun, and then I'll use another one for colors. If I have a whole lot of colors, I will actually mix up 2 colors, depending on how and what I'm doing. But for the most part, a white and a black will get me through most of my day, and that way I don't have to worry about contaminating one of the colors. You know, I know that this one is only had white in it, so I never have to worry about colored specks coming out of it, or did I get it clean enough and it's going to have some black come out, because you never know what I'm going to be working on. It could be a helmet or a shirt or the hood of somebody's car, and I don't want to take any chances. I understand if you're on a tight budget, maybe just starting out and you've only got 1 gun, that's fine. Make sure that when you're done with it, like after your flushes and things like that, make sure that when you're done at the end of the day, you clean it out really well. The cleaner your guns are, the better they'll work for you. If you don't keep them clean, it doesn't matter what kind of gun it is, you're just going to have issues. Okay, so this one actually should have a little water left in it. It's been sitting all weekend. But what I do is I keep water in them. I clean them with water. But I do have videos on here in my live playlist about cleaning them. Complete breakdown. Take them all the way apart. Remove the needle. Clean them out. If you want to go check those out, you can. But right now, I'm just getting the water out of it. I don't like anything to dry up in them, so I leave water in them overnight. And everything is out of it. The gun is cleared. So I will use, like I said before, this is my white gun. This is an Iwata Eclipse, for those of you that ask. Which is one of the reasons I'm making this video, because people keep asking me to. So they want to know my equipment. They want to know how I set up. They want to know how I reduce, how I mix it, different things like that. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to help you guys out. This doesn't benefit me at all. I enjoy helping other artists out, other people that are into maybe a hobby or just for a craft or just curious. I use Iwata Eclipse, and this is the only gun I currently use, and I have, I think, 5 of them. When I'm airbrushing on people's projects, that's the only gun I'll use. Now, I do have other guns. I carry master airbrush guns, and I consider those to be throwaway guns. I use those for when I'm doing events and airbrush tattoos for the kids. Because of those, you run ink in them, and that ink has to be cleaned up with alcohol and stuff, and it's real harsh. I don't use any alcohol in these guns, so I just buy a cheaper brand to use for those. But aside from my events and stuff, 99% of the time I'm in here in the shop creating something for a customer. I'm going to use my Iwata Eclipse. They are the workhorse of the airbrush world. They are amazing. I'll show you, a recent canvas that I did. 11 by 14 canvas. This is all 100% freehand. I realize the camera quality isn't that good, but this is all 100% freehand, and you can see every feather in it using this little gun right here. The gun has amazing capabilities. I definitely highly recommend it. Paint. Everyone wants to know what paint I use. I'm a fan of Createx and Wicked. When you use these, okay, even if you let just sitting overnight, just set all weekend, I'm going to shake the paint. I make videos all the time. I'm live videos all the time talking about how I shake my paint. I realize people have a lot of fun with that, but regardless, it's something I want to instill into everyone's head, is to make sure to shake your paint. The reason is it separates, and it'll separate quickly. It'll actually separate in my gun throughout the day if you let it sit too long. So imagine what it does in the bottle. And depending on temperature control, I'm sure that might make it sweat or separate quicker or slower. But as long as you keep it from freezing, I haven't had any issues. Never let it freeze. I take all my paint in the house if there's even a chance that it gets close to freezing. But I try to picture it separated every time. That way I know to shake it up. If you start having major problems, spitting and sputtering and things like that, and you went through your gun several times, and it could be a paint issue. It could have separated. Ask me how I know. I've been there, done that. So anyway, you want to shake your paint really good. And I'm going to mix my paint up for the day. Okay, depending on how much paint I'm going to use. And the ratio, I'm going to use a 40-12 reducer is my go-to. It's the most common for me. Works really well all around. I always recommend doing 50-50. Okay, I run about 30-35 psi all day long. I usually leave it that way. I don't have to change it very often. They're always on cue when I make a video. But I suggest to get started 50-50. When I'm doing shirts, I don't have to go quite as much. I might be more like 60-40, 30-70. because when you're doing shirts, fabric will soak up the paint. So you can actually really, give it a lot of air and paint all at one time, right? So you're full on when you're doing a shirt versus if I did that on something non-porous like a helmet or metal or something like that, then it's going to want to splatter out. Good morning, Charlotte. How are you doing, dear? So I always suggest 50-50 first. If you're going to be on anything that's a harder surface, whether it be a canvas, plastic, metal, even a lot of your wood. So that's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to pour directly into my cup. Some people will recommend getting mixing bottles. Pour into your mixing bottles, mix it up real good, and that works just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no reason for that. So what I've done, I don't know that I can show you at all. We'll see how it turns out, but you can see what I've done in there. I've probably done about a third of a cup inside of here. And I know you're thinking, well, a third of a cup, you said half and half. Well, there's a reason for that. I'm going to add another third of a cup right here. So now that's only 2/3 of a cup. You said half and half. That's right. There's a reason for that. If you'll look, if it'll show up on camera, you can see I still have plenty of room here to add more. Well, that gives me room to adjust if needed. If I filled this half and half and now it's full, I can't adjust without pouring it out. And there's no sense in that. This is plenty of paint to do whatever you're doing. Now I have this, like I said, 1/3 paint, 1/3 reducer, so I'm 2/3 of the way up. I'm going to take a paintbrush, put it in here and mix it up. You want a good quality brush, one that the bristles aren't going to fall out all the time and get hung up in your airbrush gun. But I'm going to mix this up. This is just how I prefer to do it. This gives me a little bit more control. It lets me see what's going on. I know you can put the lid on and just shake it, right? And that'll work. It might get a little messy. Make sure you cover it up and don't lose the lid while you do it. But, I'm not saying that don't work. But, like, if there was any issues with the paint, I would see it right here, right now. If there was going to be any weird reactions or if there's going to be chunks in it or maybe there's a hair in it or anything like that, I can find it doing this. So it's just my personal preference and how I mix my paint. I always keep a rag nearby so that when I'm done doing this, I will take the paintbrush, put it in the rag, and clean it out some. And you'll see why I do that here in a minute. Also, I start with white. And there's a reason I start with white as well. If I started with black, and I had a little black on my brush and I put it inside this white to mix it, now I've got a duller white or a gray. I don't want that. Here's one of my rags I have nearby. I'll put that in there for a minute. Put your lid back on and always make sure that circle that is in that lid, can you see in the center of that? Make sure that's clear, guys. If that has gotten dirty and gotten clogged up, you're going to have problems. It needs to vent. I'm going to set this to the side and let that get happy. And what that does is it lets, on a molecular level, lets all those paints mix and get happy and do what they want to do. I think the paint manufacturers recommend, I've heard them say before, if you can let that sit for 10-20 minutes, it'll work out a little better for you. So I'm getting the excess paint off my paintbrush. You could dip it in water if you have it available and clean it out that way too, but I don't need to be too picky right now. So now I'm going to repeat the same thing with a different gun. This gun, as it should, has water in it. Like I told you earlier, I like to keep water in them. What's going on, TJ? Hope you're doing good. Thank you for the good morning. So I'm going to get all the water out. There's nothing in my shop that it's going to hurt to spray water out on. We'll give it a good visual inspection. There's nothing left in the gun. It's empty. I may even do this to get any extra water out of it. See, there you go. We're empty. Now, what do we need to do? I know you already know this, but shake your paint. Always want to shake your paint. This paint has been sitting all weekend. I know it's separated at least a little bit, so I'm going to take care of that now. Always shake your paint. The only time you don't want to shake your paint is on a brand new bottle. I'd show you if I had one. If you got a brand new bottle, wait till you get the seal out of it before you shake it. Ask me how I know. It will make a mess when you shake your paint and then open it. Take that seal off of it. It'll burp just a little bit, and it will get paint all over you and your hands and your foot, your shoes, and the floor. So yeah, other than a new bottle, shake your paint, guys. So all I'm going to do now is repeat this. Repeat what you've already seen me do. Yeah, it's got reducer in it. Just like before. About a third of the way. A lot of people will recommend, if you need a visual, to have the consistency of milk. Being black, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but you see I've got plenty of room still in the cup. And that's so I can mix it up without any issues, and so I can adjust it if I need to. You're right, Charlotte. I do offer painting classes. I've done a few out here in the shop. I used to offer classes for the masses, I guess you could say, but it was too difficult to schedule people. Too many cancellations and people being late and things like that, and that wasn't fair to the people that showed up on time. And so I just make it easier now. I don't mind making how-to videos, and if you want a class, it'll be a personal, like one-on-one, one-on-two. You know, I can have the whole family here if you want to, but more personal one-on-one classes that way. You seem to learn better that way too. I'm not a teacher by any means. No formal education. This is just me spending hours and hours and hours out here in the shop that I love so much. Airbrushing for hours and hours and hours. I'm self-taught other than YouTube videos, which is another reason I like to be able to give back and be able to help somebody out with maybe a YouTube video, because that's what taught me a lot other than actually doing it. That's the biggest piece of advice I could give you, is to actually get you an airbrush gun, get you something to make some air, get you some paint. These have a needle in them. So we in the airbrush community have a saying called keep the needle wet. That way you're spraying paint on your needle. If you're keeping the needle wet, that means you're practicing. That means you're painting. And that's a good thing. That's what you want. Keep the needle wet, guys. And if you'll keep the needle wet, you'll learn each and every time. At the time of this video, I have been airbrushing for about 8.5 years when I got my first airbrush gun as a gift from my uncle and my mom. And it was one of the best gifts ever given to me. I just didn't know it at the time. And I've been practicing ever since, and I still learn every time I pick up an airbrush gun. I'll learn something today. While that is getting happy over there, what I will do is actually finish going over this helmet and getting it all roughed up, cleaning it up, making sure there's no residue of any kind on it. And once you do that, try not to touch it with your hands because your hands have oils on them. So try not to touch it with your hands and paint your designs on it and have fun. It's acrylic based, water based paint. Okay, so you can take the paint off if you make a mistake. Don't be scared. I love what I do, guys, and I'm happy to be able to help you guys out as well. But I'm going to call this video complete, and hopefully it's helped somebody. If you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me. You're welcome to put them down here in the comments, and I'll get a notification for you. If you need to contact me with any questions or anything like that, you're welcome to find me on all the social medias. Currently, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. I have a website. I'm even on YouTube. So, guys, if you need anything, just give me a shout, and just don't be afraid to try it, learn, practice, paint something. Airbrushing is an amazing way to express yourself. So I hope you guys can get out there and create something. It doesn't have to look pretty the first few times, but as long as you're working to improve yourself, that's what counts. So I truly love what I do, and I'm going to get at it. I've got a lot to do, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. It was good talking to you guys again. Like I said, if you have any ideas on maybe some future videos or something, let me know. But you guys are awesome, and I'll catch you in the next video.